Allow me to introduce a new way of being, a new way of seeing in the world. And it's something that has been with me for a long time. And I don't talk a lot about it for the reason that you might find out in a moment. But just a little self-disclosure, for many years, I feel I often feel overwhelmed when there is a lot of talking going on, specifically when there's talking without really listening, where everybody's just coming out with a lot of words and interrupting each other and sometimes getting louder, faster. And nobody's really listening. It just seems like there's this tsunami of words. And many times inside of me, there's just too many words. It's almost like my system literally doesn't know what to do with all these words. I remember many years ago, I was very much like that myself, where if I would say something and I would be interrupted, then I would say it louder or say it again or, get upset or whatever it was. Because it just felt like there was just this tsunami of words, but why? I didn't understand really why. Well, I did understand because in my own experience, I wanted to be heard deeply, not just the words, but I wanted to be heard and met in in me, in my soul, in my being. And it didn't happen very often. Then when I learned and trained to become a Hakomi therapist, which is the work that I've been doing for many years, something happened there that I had not really experienced before. And there was simply a deep sense of listening. As you know, when you sit as the client and the therapist, there was just a real deep sense of listening. It wasn't like nobody was giving me suggestions of what to do or trying to interpret it or, more word. But I was being met inside in my experience. And the beauty in Hakomi, and I did a little video about that not too long ago, about Hakomi. The beauty of Hakomi is really that we listen to the storyteller more so than the story itself. So when I share a story about maybe something that's really challenging for me, then I'm being met in that experience of feeling challenged. And then I feel heard because I'm being met in my experience. I'm not just being met in the story when there will be more words and back and forth. And it's like, whoa, it gets a little too much for me now. Not so much in the past because I was so involved in it myself. And I do believe that for most of us, we want to be heard and met in a way that we are not. And if we're not met, we just get louder or repeat ourselves or try and say it in a different way. But if there's nobody there truly listening, it just falls on bare ground. There's nothing nourishing about it. There's nothing fulfilling about it. And you kind of walk away feeling a little flat. Can you relate to that? I'm curious. And if you do have something similar, feel free to comment below. But now I want to talk about what the new way of being that has been kind of growing inside of me for a long time. And that is that there is really a longing to live in the world where we don't talk, or very little, very minimal. I don't have a problem with talking per se, because I mean, what am I doing here, right? On all my videos, it's just talk, talk, talk. I would say the purpose of me doing is to create a space for us all where we can go inside and listen to who we really are in a way that the world rarely does, so that we connect back with ourselves, so that when we walk out into the world, we're not out there like trying to have somebody fill this empty hole inside, because we've already filled it out from the inside and we feel full. That doesn't mean it doesn't feel really, really, really good to be heard and met, but it doesn't come as a demand or a need, in a way where it's an emotional need, and when we get upset when it's not there. So I wrote a poem a while ago called "I Long to Live in a World Where Words Are Used No More." And then the poem goes into how we can meet each other without words, and what we probably long for, all of us, or not, or most of us. So today I made a little video out of the poem with images, so I will post that soon. But today I just kind of want to put it out as a possibility, and you maybe just feel into the energy if you feel that sometimes. Just imagine if we were not talking. Just imagine how many arguments would just dissolve. Because if you don't talk, you can't argue, right? And, all the lying, the deceiving, that's usually happening with words. So just as a first step, a lot of that would dissolve. Just imagine being in a relationship and just think of so many arguments and blaming and shaming and, calling each other names and whatever. If that's not there, how would we deal with things? Or would it even become an issue that we needed to argue? Because an argument starts many times because something is said that didn't land well. So if that whole thing is taken out of the equation, can you imagine a world like that? It might be hard for us to really fully imagine it, and there might be a lot of questions just like, well, how about this and how about that? So it's not so much the concept of, you can't, it's not like you can't talk anymore. It's more like, how would we communicate without words? And just imagine the silence that will be all around. Isn't it amazing? And of course, silence is one of my best friends, because that's where a lot of the truth unfolds. That's where the guidance comes from. That's where we feel and sense who we truly are from the inside out. So there's a lot of benefits to silence, much more than I just mentioned here. But just imagine, even if we took one day a year where the world remained in silence. Just imagine, you would go to the store and you may want to say something, and then you might sense like, what I really want to say is, how beautiful you look, or what a wonderful way you're selling me these things or something. But it comes more as a feeling and a transmission or the word oozing that I use a lot. There's just an energetic radiance that is there. And if we start getting tuned into that instead of the words, it will be a very, very different world. I'm actually really excited to share this with you because I haven't really done that before, except I think with a few friends when we are in some deep meditations together. It's like, wow, just imagine, just imagine, no talking, just being. And, it could be a glance, a loving look with the eyes, or, a lot of loving touch with the hand, anything. And probably ways that we cannot even imagine yet because we are so identified with words as the only way to express ourselves. So I'm just going to take a moment now before we end this video today to just be here with you without needing to talk. So let's just be here together.